This article about China shows you that China is no different from the United States. They're the same group. Uh, Traditional conservatives are the same worldwide, and they do the same desperate practices, trying to get the genie back into the bottle. Look, China bans sissy men from TV, demands masculine role models in order broadcasters stop promoting vulgar internet stars as President Xi expands his war on fame and capitalism. I could stop it right here. First of all, they don't care about butch women, butch girls. They only care about sissy men, so they're going to attack men. And women don't have to conform, but men have to conform. Masculine role models just means the guy who's ambitious and conforms and gains wealth and status to get the girl. And he gets the girl at the end. But at the same time, they're against status for other men. It's a war on fame, and capitalism may as well be a euphemism for wealth. So they're against someone being rich and famous. Yet this President Xi is where he is because he wanted to be rich and famous. So it shows you the dysfunction of the traditional conservative brain. They're lizard brain people that drag their knuckles. They're not able to think straight. Now, the government banned effeminate men on TV and told broadcasters on Thursday to promote revolutionary culture, broadening a campaign to tighten control over business and society and enforce official morality. Morality is a euphemism for conformity, and for men especially. That's why they're banning effeminate men, because these effeminate men, most guys don't want to be effeminate. You either are or you aren't, but they'll see that if these effeminate men are getting the girls, then they might conform to being more effeminate. It doesn't make them more effeminate. It just means they look at what women want and try and give women what they want. Understand? So these traditional conservative Chinese losers would have to come to terms with that, and they're not going to be able to. Frankly, I hope China explodes with this. Companies and public are under increasing pressure to align with the vision for a more powerful China and healthier society. Healthier to these stupid tradcons just mean the women are going to shack up with a guy and be mate guarded and pretend they love this one guy over other men and give these guys their fantasy. This is a tradcon fantasy that doesn't exist. And yet these tradcons are willing to damage their own society and government and country to uphold their fantasies. The party has reduced children's access to online games. This is what I hate about the gender neutral bullshit. When they say children, they mean little boys, because boys are the ones who really love online games. So again, it's going to be crack down on the boys. Then when they get to be grown men, that they work all their lives and then they die. So these guys are promising the men in the country nothing. That you work like a dog and get nothing for it. That's going to work. And it's trying to discourage what it sees as unhealthy attention to celebrities. What can I say? Given the women gossip about other people in their own communities, of course they go apeshit about celebrity culture. You have to turn back the hands of time for that. Broadcasters must resolutely put an end to sissy men and other abnormal aesthetics, the TV regulator said. See, like the other abnormal aesthetic, there's nothing else really. There's no details. What they care about is the sissy man. These girls aren't going for us masculine guys. So look at the double whammy. They want women to pretend they like masculine men in particular. And it's incredible. They used an insulting slang term for effeminate men, Yang Pao, or literally girly guns. Of course, uh, it's basically homophobia, and homophobia is basically uh, uh, hostility towards men. Again, notice there's no attack on butch girls. It's only men. And here's the thing. These girls, if they show attention to the effeminate men, like I said, men use what they think will work. So they would have to crack down on female nature, and they're not going to do that. All traditional conservative men worship women, and whatever women demand, they're going to give. So they're not stopping this. That reflects official concern of the Chinese pop stars, influenced by sleek, girlish look of some South Korean and Japanese singers and actors, are failing to encourage China's young men to be masculine enough. Come on. These guys, if they see these guys getting the girls, they're going to emulate them if they think it's going to work for them. It doesn't make them more effeminate. They just say, look, this is the mask I got to wear. And again, these pop stars are working for these girls, right? If the girls like them, then that you can't blame the guys for that, right? So they're always blaming the guys. These traditional conservatives, whether they're from the West or the East, all do the same thing. They blame the men for women's choices each and every time. Instead, programs should be vigorously promote excellent Chinese traditional culture, revolutionary culture, and advanced socialist culture. You can't be traditional and revolutionary and advanced at the same time. It's an oxymoron. These guys want traditional, so it's nothing revolutionary about it. It's regressive, but they don't want to see themselves as regressives. Xi's government is also tightening control over Chinese internet industries. It's launched an anti-monopoly, data security, and other enforcement actions at companies including games and social media provider Tencent Holding. This is the only good thing coming out of it, is anti-monopoly. We need this in Canada. Because what I see is when these companies get a monopoly, they stop caring about their customers. They stop worrying about providing good service to the customers. I mean, this is the way what happens. Once you're a monopoly, you're not answerable to anyone. You're the only act in town. So this is the only good thing I see coming out of this article. It's also launched them at e-commerce giant Alibaba Group, who the ruling party worries are too big and independent. Rules that took effect Wednesday limit anyone under 18 to 3 hours per week of online games and prohibit play on school days. Wow. So basically an hour and a half on the weekend each day, if you're lucky. And again, this is affect boys more than girls. Because it's, of course, getting boys to say, okay, this is your life as a child. You're going to study, that is work, until you hit working age, and then you're going to work until you die. And this is what we want for you. Wow. And what are you going to get in return? Nothing. This is the simple lizard-brained traditional conservative thought that goes on, period, in the male mind, worldwide. Game developers already were required to submit new titles for government approval if they could be released. Officials have called on them to add nationalistic themes. Of course, they want to add propaganda. The party also tightening control over celebrities and is going to war over scandal hit celebrities who deems as social tumors. Know what I'm going to guess? I'm going to guess it's also these women that sleep around and throw sand in the face of these guys' fantasies that women like to, that they fall in love with this one guy forever and ever. These knuckle dragging conservatives, they want to protect their fantasies at all cost. Broadcasters who avoid performers who violate public order or have lost morality. What do they mean by that, right? Programs about children of celebrities are also banned. Let's see. We'll see what I'll get. Okay, look, a popular actress, Zhao Wei, has disappeared from streaming platforms without explanation. Her name has been removed from credits of TV, movies and TV programs. Guess what? I don't know anything about this Zhao Wei girl, but she's an actress. She's female. You think the women of China are going to put up with this? There's going to, at best, there's going to be a black market where Chinese women and actresses will find something outside their country. They're going to get what they want. These women are not going to go back in time for these guys. But that's the best case scenario. The worst case is that these women are simply going to do what they do here in the West. They're going to get out in the streets and protest. And these, let's face it, these tradcon male losers who worship women are going to give them exactly what they want. And they're going to cave. And when they cave, they're going to blame the men beneath them that didn't do anything. This is the standard modus operandi of these, troglodytes. Thursday's order told broadcasters to limit pay for performers and avoid contract terms that might help them evade taxes. Wow. So they're talking about stopping loopholes for them. And do you think these people are going to put up with that? You think they're going to, all people, even these guys, want fame and fortune. This guy is where he is, where he got through fame and fortune. He didn't get there because he was a good farmer. And so they think that other people in the country aren't going to want the same thing, fame and fortune. Another actress, Zhang Shuang, I'm sorry about getting her name wrong, was fined 299 million yen, oh my God, last week on tax evasion charges on Friday and warning to celebrities to be positive role models. What, she didn't get any jail time? I'm going to guess about this. I'm guessing that she didn't really break any rules. She probably got rich enough that she had tax evasion, loopholes is that, the rich take advantage of everywhere in the world. This is my guess. And so they say, oh, if we just stop giving them as much money, they can't do it. That's not going to last. Experts say President Xi Jinping is launching an attack on post-Mao liberalization, which along with capitalist free markets, open people up to Western influences, a celebrity culture which promotes individualism rather than collectivism. But everybody wants to be a star. This is human nature. And just because it happened to the West first doesn't really make it really a Western influence. It's just the influence of being a first world country. When technology makes life simple and easy, well, maybe not simple, but easy and safe, everyone enjoys the good life. And they do things that distract them. From an economic realm, the financial sector, the cultural circle, and to the political field, a profound transformation or a profound revolution is taking place. It's not a transformation or a revolution. It's a regression that won't last. Wrote nationalistic blogger Li Guangmin. See these girls? See how they love the fashion, the hair, and the clothing. They're great consumers. Socialism can't last once women get a taste of it. This is a political transformation, returning to the original mission of the Communist Party, returning the people to the people centralism and returning to the essence of socialism. Centralism, I would say your country is pretty extreme, but you can't return to socialism because women by nature aren't socialist. Women by nature are hardcore capitalist. Women do the lion's share of consumer spending in any country, any first world country. They're consumers. And if your country gets used to having its economy based on women's spending, you're not going to pull back on that. And guess what? The guys involved, they want to bribe these women. So they're going to work within a capitalist means. China is growing because it became a part of the capitalistic world. So there's no going back. Now, here's another thing. They were talking about a list of misbehaving celebrities. Zhao, 45, and Zhang, 30, were both on the list, along with Chinese-Canadian pop star Chris Wu, who was arrested on suspicion of rape this month. Okay, this is what's going to happen to them too. This is suspicion because obviously, to me, he obviously didn't rape anyone. Some girl, this is what happened. Some girl wanted him to pick her as his one and only because he's high status, and he didn't. So now when she had sex with him, she's going to call it rape. This is what's going on here. I've seen enough of it now that I can just call it for what it is. Now, let's see. Well, I'll take a look if to see, well, you don't really need to see all of this. I'll put it in the description box because they usually start, repeating themselves. Now, tech sector accounts of almost a third of the company's policy. No, I better start up here. In addition to Alibaba Digi, Chinese Uber was pulled from the app stores for courting foreign investment, while video gamer developer Tencent was accused of poisoning children with spiritual opium. The tech sector accounts for almost a third of China's economy, but the government crackdown on big tech has wiped an estimated $1.2 trillion off the market. Now, this tells me that these lizard-brained traditional conservative men who are in charge of China are willing to throw away over $1 trillion to their country economy to uphold their fantasies that don't exist. They're going to throw away all this money to try and stop women from liking what they like. And they don't want to admit that women like what they like and behave the way they behave, just like they do over here in the West. So you see American, Fox News is full of shit like this too. They're full of conservatives that go on about what people should behave and the declining morality. And they do nothing. They do nothing in the end. What happens if they try and crack down on these women? The women will protest, and then the men up charge will give exactly what these women want. And the young men will follow suit, but they will suffer. They'll throw these young men in jail and do terrible things to them. On Monday, Communist Party's top disciplinary committee heard evidence that capitalism was seeking to manipulate young people to plunder economic benefits and even to influence the society's thoughts and cultures. No, what they've done, this has nothing to do with capitalism. Well, I suppose I should correct myself. This is, China has to involve itself as a capitalism. It is, and that's why it's growing. All capitalism does is a vector to give people what they want in the first place. So they're not manipulating anybody. That's where they're wrong. Young people see the stuff that they want, and they say, now I can get it. So they're trying to hold back the tide. This is what these people are trying to do. So let me take a look to see if there's anything more worth talking about. Oh, here's on Wednesday, the government pledged to stabilize house prices and make homes available for young people. It doesn't matter if they make house prices affordable for young people, because I know what their little brains are thinking, that women will shack up with guys and be romantic and fall in love with these guys, fall in love with their one and onlys, and create these families and keep their fantasy about women loving guys going. It's not going to work though. What will happen to a lot of these young women, will end up buying houses for themselves, and then they won't get together with a guy because the guy has nothing to offer her. She already has her own house. So China is going to lose big time. They don't want to admit what it is women want. They have this fantasy that women, like here in the West, that women love men for themselves, and they're tricked by, in this case, they get to blame capitalism. Over here in the West, the tradcons blame socialism and Marxism. Jeez. It's humanity's a joke. Men are a joke. So that's what it is. It's them trying to put the genie back in the bottle and stop the rising tide. It's a waste. It's a waste of young men's time. They're the ones who always suffer, the guys at the bottom. Anyway, I've defunct, or I should say debunked, this loser article well enough. I'll put in the description box. You guys can read it at your leisure. Wow, tradcons are losers. And China is no different from America, and the United States isn't any different from China. Notice what they do. They blame the other for bad influences. God. Goodbye, everyone.